Hello, and welcome to this virtual launch of my book, Creation Matter and the Image of God. It's great to be with you for this launch. I'm only sorry that it can't be face to face, but we're fortunate to have the resources to make it virtual, and I'm very grateful to those who've made this possible. The genesis of this book was when Hilary Regan approached me from ATF Press, suggesting that I put together a collection of articles and essays from the last couple of decades of my scholarly life. And after some discussion, we decided to restrict these to essays and articles that were focused on the Gospel of John. And that's always been my great love. That's where I started in my scholarship with my doctoral dissertation on John's Gospel. And so it seemed a good idea to collect them, and there were quite a number of them. We were a little bit flexible about defining what John's Gospel meant. For example, in one essay it includes 1 John. In a few other essays there's reference to other Gospels in particular. So, for example, on the Transfiguration, it's looking at Transfiguration imagery in John, or the earliest essay of the book, the first one written actually in this collection, on women at the Last Supper, and that of course is a survey of all the Gospels, but concluding and most positively with the Gospel of John. So a little bit of flexibility around that, but basically these are Johannine essays, and that's how we've restricted them. It was an interesting experience reading and rereading some of these essays and articles, which I haven't read or looked at for decades. And I was really unsure of whether I would like what I read, whether I would still agree with it more to the point. On one or two points I found myself thinking, no, that's not right, or I'm not sure I still hold that view. But they're milestones, they're stepping stones, if you like, leading up to where I am now in my view of John's Gospel. So it didn't worry me over much. So you might find one or two inconsistencies, but they're part of the progress, I think, of scholarly research, where you consider and reconsider ideas that you've always held in the light of ongoing knowledge, and it seems to me quite appropriate to do. So apologies to anyone who finds that difficult. However, it was a good experience, and consolidated a number of my views, particularly my emerging view that John's Gospel has a lot to say to the ecological crisis today. I'm very grateful in all of this to ATF Press for their initiative and for their ongoing support, particularly to Hilary himself, but others too who've worked on the design of the book and setting it up and all the rest of it. They've also been great, and I'm very grateful to them for that. I'm also grateful to the quite a number of publishers and editors who gave me permission to reproduce my work in this book without charge, and many of them replying almost straight away and wishing me all the best. I have acknowledged them quite carefully at the beginning of the book and in the first footnote of each essay, but I am grateful to them for their generosity in response. I am, of course, particularly grateful to Frank Maloney for his marvellous launch speech on this occasion. Frank has been extremely generous to me in the past. He's been a great encourager of my work. As an international Johannine scholar, he's been a beacon of light for me, if I can use that Johannine image. And I'm very, very grateful to the kinds of things that he said. And he needs to know how much of his encouragement has been behind it. Not that Frank and I agree on everything, but even when we disagree, he still he encourages me. That's the kind of scholar that he is. I'm also grateful to St Andrew's Greek Orthodox Theological Seminary, which I've visited several times now, for giving me permission to use on the cover of the book the beautiful icon that you will see there. It's in their chapel, and I have prayed in that place and been really struck by it. And so I'm grateful to them for being generous enough to allow me to use it. Thanks also are due to my colleagues in the theological school at Trinity College. Without them, none of my work would be possible in any sense. I'm grateful that I have New Testament scholars and an Old Testament scholar too among my colleagues. I'm grateful to my boss, Bob Derenbacher, for his constant support. And I'm also grateful to Karen Graham and Peter Campbell, who helped me transcribing some of the essays, which were only in PDF format, some of them only in published format. And they helped me to get it into doc format where they could be edited, and did some of the editing for me. So I'm very grateful to both of them. That's just an example of what it's like in the theological school at Trinity College in terms of support and collegiality. It's really wonderful. I have a little kind of Johannine community of my own that I meet with regularly, and that consists of Frank Maloney, Mary Collo, and also Brendan Byrne, who is a Pauline scholar but who occasionally has written on John's Gospel and was my own doctoral supervisor. Meeting regularly with them over lunch has been a great inspiration and a source of great joy. It's given me wonderful foretastes of the Messianic banquet where we can sit and discuss the Gospel of John, hopefully with the evangelist himself. And of course, both Frank and Mary have given endorsements for the book, and I'm grateful for their endorsements, and also for those of Christopher Skinner, a Johannine scholar in Chicago, who is himself a wonderful and very energetic scholar, and a great supporter of mine, as I am of him and of his work. So thanks also to him. And the final thanks, of course, goes to my family, my wider family in Melbourne, in Canberra, in northern New South Wales and Queensland, and also in the UK. Thank you for all the support that you've offered me. I don't know how many of you will actually read the book, but perhaps that doesn't matter so much as the support you've offered. In particular, I've dedicated the book to my father, who passed away 3 years ago, who himself was a great lover of John's Gospel, and who in his final years, when he completed his own doctoral studies, actually translated the Gospel of John from Greek. He learnt Greek actually when I was a baby, and he's always said it went in with mother's milk. So I'm grateful to him, to his sense of depth and passion for the Bible, and particularly for the Gospel of John. And I would like to offer a thank you, though I can't say that they helped in any particular way, to my 3 grandchildren, Jemima, Theo and Harriet. They at least didn't hinder, or at least not too much, but I'm very grateful to have them in my life, and they very much enrich it. So thank you for being here. Thank you to Hilary and to the wonderful staff at ATF Press, and I hope you really enjoy reading the book.